Are you ready to unlock your child's potential? Find the perfect blend of learning and fun at MrBTheTeacher.com. Start with his 3 award-winning books, Guidelines for the Successful Student, a closer look at parenting your school-age child. The Essential Speller, The Feller, and humorous and engaging reading like My Coconut Head. All on sale at Amazon.com. But the learning doesn't stop there. Make any subject fun with the catchy, curriculum-based tunes from Mr. B's Beats for Brains. Please enjoy this sample.
Let me introduce you to the Division family. If you don't have a clue, just listen carefully. When Division is in the house, they share on what they've got. They split up without a doubt and divide up the whole lot. Daddy divides as the father and guide. Mommy multiplies and shares on what they buy. Sister subtracts, but she always has your back. Brother brings down, the next one he is found. Daddy divides as the father and guide. Mommy multiplies and shares on what they buy. Sister subtracts, but she always has your back. Brother brings down, the next one he is found. To divide means that you share. Just how much do you care? Sometimes you leave a remainder left over from the divisor.
Is your child ready to see real academic growth? For personalized expert tutoring, connect with Mr. B through Varsity Tutors. Details are at MrBTheTeacher.com. That's MrBTheTeacher.com, your partner in learning success.
You're listening to A Teaching Moment with Mr. B.
Good day and welcome to the 49th podcast episode of A Teaching Moment with Mr. B. In this 49th episode, we're talking about 6 weeks to save the school year. And you might wonder, well, what does that title mean? That title means when the students have 6 weeks before they take their state tests or examinations in various subject areas, well, what do we have to do? What should be the plan for the 6 weeks leading up to when they take those state tests or those state exams near the end of the school year, usually in April or May of each year? Now, when I was growing up in England, we used to call it revision, where we have to revise in every subject. And that used to start, and they used to recommend like 6 weeks before we took our final examinations in May and June, we had to start to revise in every subject. And the teachers used to give us an overview plan of what subjects we should be revising or what topics we should be revising in every subject. And we had a 6-week plan. And every week we focus on different skills and concepts that we learned. And so here I'm going to give you a plan that you could use week by week for 6 weeks that will help students to be successful and be ready to take those state tests and exams when they have to take them. So is your child falling behind, even though the school year is almost over? And if your answer is yes, don't panic. You still have time. So if you have at least 6 weeks, 6 weeks is enough time. So the reality is that 6 weeks is enough time for your students to improve grades, build on their key skills, and regain confidence. I've seen so many students in my years of teaching improve in each of these areas where before they were not achieving their greatest potential. They were not achieving high grades, but they were able to turn it around in the last 6 weeks of school. But with focus and structure, they will be able to turn their grades around and start to improve and build on their key skills and regain their confidence. Another point is that you must set a week-by-week game plan. And this is where I'm going to talk about, for each of the next 6 weeks, what should your child be doing? What should you do to facilitate? And what should your child who's a student be doing week by week to prepare for those state tests or exams? In week 1, you need to assess and reset. Week 1 is about assessment and reset. And this is the type of plan that I follow with my students that I teach online. Few weeks leading to their state test. I'm going through it right now because as of this recording, we're entering into that last 6-week period where my students are preparing for their end of year tests. So in week 1, what I call assess and reset, they have to identify the weak areas or areas that they need to build on, need more revision or need more practice. Talk to their teachers who they have in those subjects about how to improve, and then set clear goals about which areas to tackle, which areas they need more work or practice, and set those goals to practice in those areas and to learn or relearn any concepts they've missed. So all of that's week 1, assessing and resetting. Week 2, by the time you get to week 2, they need to build a routine for study time. And it's very important that students develop good study habits. They need to set a daily study time between 30 and 60 minutes, depending on the grade level. And they need to focus on 1 or 2 subjects at a time. What you don't want your child to do is to cram so many multiple subjects or topics in the last week or in the same week, because research shows they're not going to retain much information. So they need to be able to focus on 1 or 2 skills in 1 or 2 subjects at a time. So they need to establish a routine and set a study time in the evening after school, at least 30 to 60 minutes. By week 3, they need to target those gaps. Focus on foundational skills first, practice daily, and then use tutoring services such as ours and varsity tutors if the child needs more assistance. And my job in these next 6 weeks is to prepare my students who need extra help to help them practice daily or help them practice weekly in those areas that they need help with. So my job is to help facilitate that process. And we'll be happy to help you, mrbetheteacher.com. You could find more information about how you could sign your child up for tutoring services with us. By week 4, it's called practice and reinforce. We need to be practicing and reinforcing the concepts and skills where they needed help. And you do this in 3 steps. 1, by reviewing the mistakes that have been made while you're practicing. So it's very important to target what skills or concepts the child is still not understanding, or what steps they're not following to solve a problem. Then they need to do extra practice in those concepts and skills, and then they begin test preparation. Perhaps they could take some practice tests in those subject areas, in those skill areas, so they could test their readiness for the state test that they'll be taking. By week 5, it's all about boosting their confidence. We want to boost our students' confidence by tracking their progress, celebrating all the small wins, and increase their autonomy or independence in solving the problems, in practicing their skills and concepts. We want to boost the child's confidence. So by week 5, they should be more confident than ever before. And again, in all my years of teaching, I could see when many of my students get to this point, and I'm able to celebrate it with them And it's important to praise your child. It's important for parents to praise their children and for teachers to praise their students every time they accomplish a small win, even if it's so small, like remembering a step that they didn't remember last week, or remembering a vocabulary term, what they forgot the week before. It's so important to celebrate those small wins so that they will be able to produce more of them. They will have the confidence to even produce more wins. And little wins, small wins put together adds up to larger wins, like acing the state tests, the final exams. And by that last week, 6, is the final push. And what I call the final push is where they're just reviewing the key concepts that they're going to be tested on. They focus on tests and projects, and they stay consistent. And they just keep pushing themselves and get ready, get enough rest, make sure that they are doing what they have to do to be ready for those state exams, because it helps to determine promotion or retention in many subject areas for the student. So these are very crucial tests when we want to see improvement, see how much they've retained over the year and over the course of the school year. So I have something here called the Power Hour Strategy. I came up with a concept of that, where for the first 20 minutes is review. The next 20 minutes is practice, and the last 20 minutes is to apply the concepts that they reviewed and practice, either through problems, writing, and teaching. And this is a type of model that I use with my students when I teach them for an hour each at a time. We review the concepts and skills that they need to practice. They then practice with me, and then they practice on their own, and then they apply it to word problems or situations or scenarios, either through writing or teaching back to me. And this is so important that students learn so that they could teach others. So you might ask, as a parent, well, what should I do? What can I do to support my children as they get ready to take their state exams and tests in the next few weeks? Well, so first of all, we want to make sure that we stay calm and supportive of our students. We want to make sure that we stay calm and supportive because, after all, they are our students. They are our children. You want to be able to create a structured home that's conducive to learning and studying, such as what I've outlined in great detail in Guidelines for the Successful Student, a closer look at parenting your school-age child, where I talk about structuring, how to set up a structured home, and how to follow the plan that they set, such as a schedule after school, the accommodations that you need to make at home, and how you should carry out the accommodations. Then we need to make sure we communicate with our teachers, who the children have, so that they're on the same page about what skills and concepts the child is having problems with, what do they need to review, what do they need to practice. And then as we set these conducive study environments at home, we want to make sure that we limit the amount of distractions that the students receive, like cell phone use, video games, the TV, the cable, and any outside interference. So we want to limit the amount of distractions that the students have in the last few weeks leading up to their state exams, because this is such a crucial time of the year, the most crucial time of the year. So we want to make sure we avoid extracurricular activities that interferes with their ability to study and focus for their state tests that are upcoming. We want to make sure we limit those distractions. And if it means slowing down on certain extracurricular activities at this time, so be it. I've been through this as a child myself, where I resigned from playing in a steel band because I wanted to study for the last few weeks before my final exams, and it paid off for me in the end. Sure, I miss being in my steel band with my dad, but in the end, it paid dividends for me. I was able to excel and do well. Now, here are three things that you should not do. As my point number 5, what not to do. What shouldn't you do? You should not overwhelm your child. That's the number one thing. Do not overwhelm them with so many extracurricular activities. Do not overwhelm them with chores or job responsibilities or other tasks that might interfere with their ability to study. So that's the first area. You don't want to overwhelm your child because you want them to focus on their studying and preparation. Don't focus only on just them getting higher grades. Focus on their overall understanding of the concepts and skills. Help them to be more confident in their ability to succeed. That this is a goal. These are goals they must set for their future overall. So don't just focus on grades. And the last point, which I believe is very important, please do not have them wait until the last minute. I always tell my students not to procrastinate. Elementary, middle school students who I've taught, and even high school students I've taught online too, do not wait until the last minute to practice the skills that you need to practice. So in my case, working in tutoring services through Varsity, I have been preparing my students since February, March. I always think like 3, 4, 5 months ahead. So students will get enough practice so that they can become more confident. And when they have that confidence, their test scores will improve. And research shows that when students have ample confidence and sufficient rest and great study habits and prep time, the results are that much greater than if they didn't. So my closing message for this podcast is that 6 weeks can change everything. You might think, well, it's just 6 weeks, Mr. B. We have summer enrichment programs that are less than 6 weeks. Some of them are only 4 and 5 weeks long, and it's paid a lot of dividends to so many students who were on the verge of being retained. And I've taught in these programs for a few years when I was in the classroom actively. So 6 weeks can change a lot of things. With the right plan, the right mindset, and the right support, it can change everything for the student and help them to succeed and not fall short of their expectations. So there we have it. We must make sure that we have a plan, do the reality check, set a week-by-week game plan, build a consistent routine, target those gaps in skills and concepts that they need to practice daily, practice and reinforce those skills, boost their confidence, and finally make that final push to prepare for those final state exams and tests. And with the right power hour strategy of review, practice, and application, and with being supportive, creating the right structure, communication with teachers, and limiting their distractions, they will sure succeed. They will surely be successful in their final examinations at the end of the school year. So I wish your children all the best. I wish all the students everywhere all the best in preparing and succeeding on their final state exams. So if this message has been helpful to you, feel free to check out our website at mrbteacher.com. and find information about all the products and services that we offer, including tutoring services that I offer through Varsity Tutors. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And as the African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child.